You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Hey folks, welcome to the Beans and Dice podcast, Thursday night live call-in show. I'm Carlos.
And I'm Wayne.
And we are Rob-less tonight. Rob is out having fun with family, visiting family up in the great state of Georgia. He will be back, should be back next week. So tonight you just get the two of us. You get Carlos and Wayne. We're going to jump right into the call-in show. We'll open up the phone lines. 813-618-7099 is the number. What we do here each week is we take your phone calls to talk about gaming, gaming adjacent topics, anything you got going on gaming-wise. I think today I'm going to focus in on some games that I've played, some acquisitions that have come in. I really don't have a lot of news stories that have been hitting hard for me.
You know, really the big thing is just Essen coming up, right? And the 50 bazillion games that are being shown at Essen and everyone doing their Essen top 10, which we are not going to be those cool kids and do an Essen wish list because whatever.
Well, even the stuff that's coming out, like we've talked about it, being more mindful of what we purchase, what we buy.
Yeah.
I really like to see things settle in, with the exception of Callisto. There's always an exception.
I think, well, yeah, that I was going to say, like, I could see that being your game because you love the Undaunted series of games, so it's up your alley. I have not seen a game yet where I'm just like, ooh, I need that.
Yeah, Callisto's the only one that has stood out for me, and it really is just because of the pedigree. Let me say that. Let me stop. Let me say it this way. It was because of the pedigree, right? Of the designers, Thompson and Benjamin. I don't know why I'm missing the rest of the names right now. David and
Thompson, right? Yeah,
yep.
David Thompson.
And then I think Turksky does like the solo mechanisms for it. But the pedigree of that system is so strong. It put it right on my radar and on my buy it soon list. The videos that I've been watching now that have been coming out from it, that people are actually getting in their hands and playing it, it's really talking about a level of improvement, Wayne. Kind of like a culmination. Comes out of the box ready to play 4-player. It uses elevation. So even though it's a board still, right, still flat 2D board, you played Wildlands with us.
Yep.
The game from designer of Lincoln, famous for his design of Lincoln. It had the elevation component in that game as well, and now we'll see it in Undaunted, where you have high ground and lower level, which impacts line of sight and shooting. And then it also has mechs. Like it's got mechs. And then one of the big things that I wasn't sure how I felt about, Wayne, is it's no longer tiles, right? So before in Undaunted, you would lay out tiles, to build a map. You would look at a scenario setup, and it would tell you place tile 2A here next to 3B, and you would set up the board that way. Now it's just one big preset map board, and I think you get a couple of them, and they're double-sided, so it allows you to run through the scenarios using those different locations, which I wasn't sure how I felt about that. But one of the pain points I have for Undaunted for me is setup. Like right off the bat, setup deters me from getting into it because you got to find the right tiles. You have to find all the cards. You got to build the market because it is a deck builder. You still got to build a market. All that work together just kind of deters me from getting it out. Knowing that I don't have to do that, I can just throw out a board and just build the market. Makes it feel like it's going to come to the table more.
Yeah, 100%. I think, you know, the modular boards, even Mansions of Madness, like, and that's like one of my top games of all time. It can get annoying when you have all the expansions and it's you're digging and looking for that one tile. A lot of games don't do a good job of organizing those. Even like I think that's part of the reason why I would never want to play Gloomhaven, the original Gloomhaven, because of the tiles. Like once I played Jaws of the Lion, we're enjoying it. Kind of gotten away from it, need to get back to it. But that book and like Stuffed Fables, the book where it's just bam, there's your board. I don't want to spend a half hour in my 2-hour gaming building the board,
right,
and looking for a tile. And you know, you look through that stack of tiles and you don't find that and you go, God, where is it? You go again, and like you go through that stack 3 times, and you're like, it's not in that stack, and then someone else grabs it and finds it like 2 seconds. Like, God damn it,
Just annoying.
It is. It's kind of annoying. Yeah. I actually maybe I lied. There's a couple of games I'm like, ooh, that might be.
Yeah, let's open it up. Let's talk. That was the one Essen game that I can see. I'm gonna pull up my online.
Yeah, I'm looking
to see what other folks are saying.
You got the expansion for you for White Castle.
Oh, wait, what?
There's an expansion.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, matcha. Yeah. There we go.
Okay, I'm gonna have to research that one.
Yep.
I'm gonna put that in my notes.
I'm gonna share my page. Let's do this. Let's do window. I'm gonna share that. Yeah, there we go. Let's share. So yeah, White Castle matcha. Tea ceremony lies at the heart of Japanese culture, giving life to the most essential and elemental concept of hospitality, respect, and Zen philosophy. So it looks like a new little sideboard, maybe, or a new.
No, that's the old original board, but it looks like they added something to the top.
Yep, looks like There's a little. Is there? Yeah,
no, I mean on your player board.
Oh,
no, that's the same. That's the same.
That's the same.
Yeah, that is the same board. So it looks like you got the same player boards.
Right.
So where maybe it's in the cards.
Maybe. Let's see.
Listen, ain't nobody calling anyways. We're just talking.
Yeah, come on in, call in. Why don't you show me the back of the box? You don't do that. Anyway, matcha. So there you go. There was another expansion.
But there's no way on God's green earth is that thing gonna fit back in the box.
Nope.
Like you saw the box as it is. Like I'm gonna have to almost had to chuck the bridges just to get the standard one to fit in.
I would
the game to fit in.
I would almost get rid of the bridges, even though it's a cool toy factor. They're printed on the board, so you don't really need those 3D bridges.
But they're pretty, and it took me a long time to put them together.
Oh, I don't disagree. I just think if you want to put it back in the box. Oh, and then there's a Sky Team expansion, which is great.
I'm sorry, what?
Sky Team expansion.
You can tell how out of the Essen loop I've been.
Essen loop. Well, this they announced this the moment they won the Spiel de Jars. That they had this turbulence expansion coming out.
What do we know about the turbulence expansion?
New weather conditions and 20 extra scenarios. Which, though, for me, like, I really like Sky Team, but I don't own it. But I've probably played. I think Rob and I probably played this 100 times on BGA, and it's so good on BGA because you still get that stress, but you don't. It's even harder because you don't have that like spades when you're looking at your partner and you give them the dead eye that like don't.
There's no hint.
There's no
non-verbal communication.
Yeah, there's no VOB, so it's even harder. I think on BGA, and so I don't know if I would buy it because it's 2-player only. The physical copy, I think I'm fine. This is one of the games where like I know Rob talks about like if I'm playing a game on BGA, I don't want to own it. And I say a lot of times, well, I think I would rather own the game and play it on BGA so I can do both. Sky Team might be one where I'm like, I think I'm good with just playing it online, right? I don't know.
How do I see this list that you're on? You've got this list of.
Oh, so I just Google. I don't know where you find it on the actual BGG website. I just Google BGG Essen preview and it comes up, and then I sorted by hotness because you can go in there and thumbs up the games. So this one looks cool. Sept is the #1 game right now on the hotness list. 882 likes.
Oh, I found it.
There you go.
Thank you, Wayne. Hopefully somebody at home
Google works for you.
Too.
There's,
you forget that Google will find things within forums. So within BGG, it'll find it.
Have you ever done so? Here's the jerk move that I do at work sometimes. There's a website called Let Me Google That For You.
Yes, I have used it.
Okay. So I'm not the only one, right? I've literally sent links to people at work. Like, here you go.
I learned that one from Mike Lorenzo. He was a heavy user of that. We had a chat, just like a local chat of just us gamer guys before the Beans and Dice stuff. And if anybody asked any questions in there, that would be the GIF that would pop up with their question like filling in on the screen.
On the screen. That's what it's amazing.
Sorted by hotness, you said?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you go here, sort, right here, sort.
I'm old, folks. Can you tell?
Sorted by publisher, you can change it to thumbs hot.
Thumbs hot.
Put it like in order.
Now I'm with you. Oh, well, I'm gonna scroll through this thing with you and see what we see.
Well, yes, we could do that. So obviously SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, that seems interesting. 40 to 60, 140 to 160 minutes though. Not sure about that. The first one that
go bigger. Go with Civolution from Stefan Feld right there, number 3.
90 to 180.
Which this one, when it first got announced, we talked about it a little bit as being something we were interested in because of the stealth love that we have here.
Stealth love, yeah. But still, it's still not hitting me. Arcs. Everyone talks about this game. I don't know. I'm still not sold. Endeavor is Deep Sea, which is the.
I watched Eminem's video today with Howard.
Yeah. Tim Howard. Jeremy Howard. Tim Howard is a basketball player. Jeremy Howard.
I'm gonna leave that comment alone, Wayne.
Tim Howard is right, or is
yeah.
Right?
It didn't hit, brother. Like the reasons that I like Endeavor Age of Sail.
Yeah,
it didn't feel like they translated it into this version of the game. Get in there, open up that link. As you'll see. The board setup is set up almost like I was describing with Undaunted, where it's cards that are tiles that are placed out of the board to represent the different locations. Mm-hmm. But then within each card, I think it represents depth. So it starts like at like sea level, right, and then you can see the rows getting lower and lower, right? But what's missing about it, Wayne, is the big connections, right? So when you look at their board, each card has the location spots. Remember, you would control a location, right, and then if you controlled an adjacent location, whatever benefit was between it, you gained.
You gained, right?
Right? Okay, it does that, but on an individual basis for each card, right? I really liked looking at the big map, the web of lines that went out, and trying to map out where am I going? Which way am I headed? Am I headed to the Caribbean? So I'll take this route because I can grab these bonuses.
What else I like is these cards. Yeah, I see the cards, right? And to me, it's not a good picture. Like, how big are those cards too? And like, that's some pretty small looking iconography.
Well, they did have small cards in the game.
Laying out the board.
The iconography,
the cards themselves, and like the wording on the cards looks.
The amount
small.
of artwork. So because a card could have whales on it, right? So it covers up a lot of the artwork.
Yeah.
You see it. You see the connections, right? So you see the circle spots. You fill in this spot here, fill in this spot here. You get the bonus in the middle.
You don't go across cards in different zones as much.
No, like that greater mapping was a piece that I enjoyed. I don't know. We're gonna have to.
I also, to be honest with you, like the theme. Like I get like they're trying to retheme it, but I love that Caribbean Age of Pirates, Age of exploration. I guess Western domination of the Caribbean. There's problems in that time period, obviously, but you can play a game and use it as me, I'm all about education. You can use it as an educational tool and be like, this is history and this is what happened. And this is, if you want to go that route, everyone else is going to do the opposite and screw you, right? We're talking about the slavery part of it. But I love that theme.
Oh, I've tried to pull that one. You know what's hard with that mechanism is getting other people with you. Like getting everyone on board. Like, hey, if we all work together, we can screw Rob.
Right.
Right. And here I am. I'm playing with Rob. I'm playing with Mikey. Right. Half black, half Puerto Rican Mikey. And I'm like, listen, they used us. They used us before.
Go get them.
Rob is using us now with that deck. Together, we can burn through this deck. And he looks at me and he goes, nah, I'm going to use it for me.
See, now,
he starts using the cards.
Yeah. And I think I've not had that happen yet. Like every time I play that game, either everyone avoids that deck because no one wants to be the first one to go there, or that first person goes there and then everyone else goes and abolishes slavery and you get screwed. Right?
I've found the opposite. Whenever Rob goes there, other people see the great benefit of it and they jump in with him.
Nah, I'd screw him. You play with me. All right,
next time.
I'm with you.
My man. I got an ally. I got an ally in Wayne.
There you go. This is one I really want to play, Galactic Cruise. I don't.
What do you know about it?
So it's like, do you know that HBO show with like Steve Carell where they're like, it's like a spaceship, but it's like a cruise ship in space?
No.
But anyway, so that's the whole thing. It's like,
I can only think of Wall-E.
Yeah, Wall-E. No, this is like a game where it's like you build and launch ships, and like it's what's going to happen in our society.
Yeah, Virgin is trying to create a space
it's
liner.
making space, and you haven't watched it yet, but you have to watch For All Mankind. The commercialization of space, right? So it's like,
I'm not giving Tim Cook my money.
Oh, come on, it's so good. Apple has the best shows, man. But
I'm
anyway,
an Android guy.
I am too, but Apple does have the best. Apple TV is like the best streaming service. But no, Galactic Cruise is cool because it's like it's a worker placement game. You're building these ships, you're sending them to space. It's like the commoditization of space. They've been playtesting this at like every convention and demoing it at every convention for several years. So this game has been playtested and demoed, and it's. I feel like this is probably one of the more complete games to come to market because it has been played a ton. I've seen this talked about for 2 years. At various conventions, so it's been out there.
Cities?
Yeah, a lot of people.
I've heard good things about this.
Steve Finn, who is our favorite, game Biblios, right? And Phil Walker Harding, praise be. I mean, like that's a combination right there. Is I've heard a lot of good things about that.
I enjoy city building. It looks like it's going to hit off well.
Yep, got a good ratings. Let's Go to Japan. Already played it. Windmill Valley, Rock Hard, Tirnanog. These are all games that like we've heard a lot about. Like there's not tons of new games, but this is one right here, Ada's Dream from Alley Cat Games. It's a dice collection, Rondelli type game, but it's about helping Ada Lovelace build the first computer, right? Because she was like the original computer designer. I got it up right here. So pull this up. I mean, it's a little busy, but it looks cool.
No, but it's Alley Cat Games, same company that did
Dice Hospital and
Chocolate Factory. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yep,
components were great. Yep. It was easy to figure out. It felt busy, but it was done well.
Yeah. Now it's a heavy game though. 4 weight. So 90 to 120 minutes, but collect dice from the workshop rondel to manipulate your personal engine board. Work with Ada Lovelace to help build the first computer. So me, as far as like themes, like you're the combat, the World War II or the military stuff, which I also enjoy too. But I love like the historical like games,
the sciences
and stuff. Yeah, that gets me. I love that stuff. That's why like the next one on the preview list is the Galileo game too. Figaro.
Now, what do we know about this game? What is it going to be? It says action, drafting, area majority, influence, and then Renaissance theme.
Yep. So it's a Euro style game in which you take the role of an astronomer who will discover new planets, find unknown star systems, develop telescopes, and make scientific breakthroughs throughout the ages. Use a telescope. I thought there was I've seen it where it's like you've got that's your telescope and you're kind of building it out and developing it. Just looks like they're all sort of similar, right? They're all sort of James Odak's like, 408. There you go, James. There's your SN pick right there. Ada's Dream. We know you like the heavy games, so
if it don't last 3 hours and doesn't have a 4.0 or higher, it's not worth playing, he says.
So I just like game. Like I said, what's interesting is these themes. So like Galactic Cruise, Ada's Dream, Galileo. I even know a tremendous amount about the gameplay. It's the theme that's drawing me in. Like the idea of helping Ada Lovelace build a computer. Working
talk about being like in a glut of opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. 10 years ago, finding a game. Okay, let's say 15 years ago, finding a game that wasn't set in the Mediterranean.
Right.
Right.
Or just
in
generic,
Europe.
like Castles of Burgundy or Concordia, like just generic.
You couldn't find a title that took you out of that world.
Right. So specific to like individuals or individual scientific moments or, because we
want to grow networks of mushrooms.
Yeah.
Hey,
mycelia. There you go. And you got like Gutenberg came out in the last year or two, right? And you have the print, so all those other games and you have Carnegie came out. So it's all good.
Any topic of interest and you can find one. Black Forest. I think you went by that one pretty quick. That one was on my radar because of the UA component.
Uwe.
English is not my first language. Neither is German.
Uwe. Let's see.
What else do we see?
Rebirth, Explorer, Luthier.
Andromeda's Edge is that is number.
There
4.
we go, right there. Yep. Cardboard Alchemy.
Yep, that one is starting to hit a lot of videos, which is kind of weird to me, right? So a month ago, we're seeing videos, best game ever, Arcs, right? And now I'm seeing videos with the title, my favorite game, Andromeda's Edge.
Yeah.
Like, okay, can we flip that quick? Like, is this how
we
this works?
are. That's just kind of how it is. And like, what's interesting is like I'm not saying Arcs isn't a bad game. I am sure that Arcs is a very good game, and I would want to play it. I don't know if I'm sold on the gameplay of it, but like the hype train that came out initially, and every podcast and everything you saw was this is the greatest game ever. And then 3 or 4 weeks went by, and you started seeing some people go, it's okay. It's it's got you started seeing some not negative, but sort of like, okay, here's a cool game. It's very good. It's a little overrated. And now, yeah, people start talking about it, but it's already like moving on to the next thing, right? So,
the next best game ever.
And I'm saying, I'm not trying to like say Arcs. I've never played it, right? I've listened to a ton of reviews, and my impression of the reviews is it's a really good game that will hit really well with certain people, and then some people will not hit with. But you can say that about like every game. Like you literally say that about Monopoly. There are people out there who love Monopoly and hate, and then most of us hate it, right? But like. So yeah, I think it's just too many games coming out. So World Order.
I'm not familiar with this.
Hegemonic Project Games. It's his. This is his
people.
His people. This is a sequel, baby. The year is 2010, and the world is drastically changing. While the once unrivaled influence of the United States is beginning to wane. Oh crap! The other major powers eagerly stepping into the stage. World Order's modern international relations. Yeah, cool. No wait yet, Jim. It has no wait. You have to wait until they say it's really complicated. Simulate the modern global political system in area control game. So it looks like it's basically taken the hegemony concept,
which is worker placement.
Well, is really, but it's really kind of like one country, right? It's the workers, the proletariat, the corporation and whatever in let's say America, basically is kind of what it is, and the interaction of the different classes within a country. So this is taking that concept and saying what happens if you have the global world order.
It's like the UN we had in middle school.
Yeah, the Model UN. Yeah, you did that. You did Model UN.
Nope.
No. Have you?
I think my wife did. I've heard about it. Luthier, that's on Rob's list. I know you scrolled right by that one.
Yeah,
go back down.
It's Kickstarter. It's
right there.
They're not releasing it there. See, the thing is, I don't know.
8-1 already on the registering on the
game's not even
rate
out yet, right? The game's not even out yet. It's just finished Kickstarter. The game looks cool though. After watching like 2 playthroughs, I was like, okay, this looks like a good game. If I didn't already own the deluxe edition of Rococo, I probably would have done this.
It's the same people that did Distilled, right?
Yes, Paverson Games, yeah. Which I am warming to Distilled more and more and more. I've played it a bunch now on VGA in the last couple of weeks.
With the expansion or base?
No, not with that expansion. I need to get. I want to buy the expansion so I can have it in my copy at home here. But I'm getting the hang of it. But although I am starting to see a play style that does really well. So like in Distilled,
but is it within the theme?
Yeah, kind of. Well, yes and no.
So like Dan can win at viticulture without planting a single grape.
Great, yeah.
Right.
Which Jamie says that's a viable strategy. So
But it's not encompassing within the theme, Jamie.
I know. No, but I kind of bought his explanation for that. But anyway, that's different. I did kind of like.
We talked about it.
We talked about it. Yeah, go back and watch our old shows.
Watch many of the old ones where we blather.
We blathered. What was I gonna say? Oh no! So like in Distilled, I've found it's a lot easier to go with things that require grain spirits. So like, do your bourbons, do your whiskeys, do your vodka, do your moonshine, right? But if you pick a starting character that specializes in like a grape or fruit based like
sake
drink, or sake, or think about like I don't even know. I'm trying to remember now my brain, but like cognacs or brandies or those kind of things. It's harder to do those things because like that there's in that basic market you get water, yeast, then there's like a grains which is like free or really cheap, and then like the fruits and other sugars that you can buy for distilling cost money or they're harder to come by. So it's easier to get a bunch of grain based things. So if you focus on grains, you can age faster. And if aging spirits is, you have to like, if by turn
You got to
2 or
start
3
early.
if you're not by turn 2 or 3 aging a spirit, you're in trouble, right? So like, and it's easier to get the barrel because you can buy the barrel, the basic barrel. You can get the basic grains, just still a bourbon or whiskey and throw it in the barrel and just let it age. Where it's harder to get like those fruit based ones going. But anyway,
I could guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like,
a little bit.
I think in the world that also makes sense.
Yeah, because grains are easier to come by and they
Mhm.
last longer. They don't spoil easier. There's probably
And making spirits out of that has been going on a long time, so it's more established.
You can make vodka and anything, right? And basically, potato, rice, like there's starches anywhere you go. Fruits are harder to come by. But anyway, so I am enjoying distilled more and more as I play it. Although, I do try to, that one strategy seems to work pretty well. Luthier's looks really cool. I mean, good Lord, it looks really cool. But it was close enough to Rococo to me where I'm like, no, I'm not spending $120 all in.
And each review that I've watched or listened to about it, that is mentioned.
Yeah.
It's not just you that says
no,
it.
it's not just me. Yeah, I've heard several people say it. Yeah. I think I was the first. Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
You heard it first, right here.
Right here. Yeah.
All right there. Here's one. This one, I had no idea that it even existed. Click on it and pull up the pictures of this thing.
This one, Flatiron.
Yeah, this was a video that I watched by a friend of the show, BJ from Board Game Gumbo. Okay. He did an Essen preview video, and this was on there, and I'm like, okay, this looks cool. Like, look at these buildings that you're putting together with these levels and token markers and like none of it. Cool. He even said it. I'm not 100% certain what this game is about or how it's even played.
Cool.
But just looking at this makes me say, okay, you piqued my interest.
Yep, piqued mine actually. I not. I do love the Flatiron building. It is an iconic building. Have you ever been?
I'm curious to see. No, I don't leave the state of Florida much.
You've never been to New York?
Negative. I would like to go just so that I can play Ticket to Ride in Central Station. Like, that's my number one goal. Like, even the mini version of Ticket to Ride.
You're at New York?
Yes, like even a little version of Ticket to Ride, just to do it.
What you need to do is we need to go to Central Park, like one of the cool plots for Central Park, and play New York 1901.
That would be that. See, road trip, man, and we record the whole way up there and the whole way back. It would be crazy.
Oh, James Oden.
And we do it on scooters. We do it on motor scooters. All the way up,
train up there or whatever. No, but I love New York City. Like, I grew up on the outside of New York City. My family's from Brooklyn originally. One of the coolest things to me though is either taking someone to New York City for the first time, or like if you were going to New York City, I would give you a list of like, okay, you got to go here, 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 and then you go do that, and like you come back, you'd be like, oh, that was amazing. Like, thank you. Like, that's the place to go. Like, I love it.
I can't imagine what it's going to feel like if and when I go with the family, because I still remember my first time going to Atlanta and just seeing like downtown Atlanta.
Yeah.
Thinking, wow, this is insane. This is huge.
And if you think Atlanta is big, or like crazy, like downtown, like Manhattan is just like, oh my god.
I've never seen the Flatiron building.
Yeah, you see it you've seen it on TV. I think that's the big thing is like there's there's no comparison to when you see it in person. Right?
I just don't know why.
It's
like,
just,
why though?
You don't grasp the size of it, right? Like, you see a building, you go, okay, there's a 100-story building on TV. But when you see it in person, or when you like walk out on 42nd Street and you look down 42nd, or you go on Broadway and you're just looking down, and you're seeing it for the first time in person, the scope of it, I think, hits you. And I think that's what the thing, like, I grew up in New York. I've been to New York City and Chicago and LA and Boston, right? And all the major cities of America, basically. When I went to Tokyo and I got off the train and we went downtown Tokyo, and I was just like, okay, I thought New York was big, and I was, I had gotten used to how big things seem. It was not even close, man. Like, you don't understand. Like, so think about, like, we live in Tampa Bay. For those of you who are listening, Tampa's a big city. It's actually one of in the top 25 biggest cities in America, kind of thing. But it's still like tiny. We only have like,
feels like a small town. It still feels like a small town.
We have like 25 skyscrapers, and like the biggest one is what, 50 or 50 stories maybe, right?
If that.
like New York City, that's like every building, right? In Manhattan is like, 50 stories type thing. Like Tokyo was just like 1,000 times that. You're just like, holy cow! Like it just goes on forever. Just the scope of it when you see it in real life, you think of things as being big, and you can go, oh yeah, I know what it's New York City is gonna be like. But the moment you walk in Grand Central Station, or the moment you walk out on Broadway, you go, that's cool, right? It's just big. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen this building. I'm always curious as to why it's shaped the way it is.
Yeah,
It's like cool. they kind of shoved it on some cul-de-sac corner where it couldn't, because it got that triangular shape.
Yeah.
So Flatiron really stands out for me. Thank you, BJ, for putting that on your video. Check him out. I think I posted a link to his video. He might have posted a link to his video in our Discord as
that's cool.
As a shameless plug.
You know what I absolutely love about his video though? I listened to the podcast version of it. It was like 20 minutes long, and it was like, here are the top games of Essen. It wasn't this like 2 hour long. Let me go through 400 games. Like, just tell me the 10 games that you're looking for, and I don't need like a 40-minute explanation of each game. Just give me the quick hit. Give me those. I love that.
That's what I like. I like that, to consume that kind of content. If I want to go deep, that's a completely separate video, and I need to be in a completely different mindset to be able to consume that deep thought video.
There's a place for both, but we don't know enough about most of these games, and so just hitting it, like you're right. I probably would have passed this game by, except for you bringing it up. That BJ brought it up, so there you go. All right, let's go back.
As you scroll down, I know what the next one is for me. We'll see how far you go down.
This one, I go next game right here.
Oh, is it for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, not for me. Eagle Griffin.
Eagle and Vital Lacerda. So now I've not played a lot. I've not played any. Yeah, here we go. James is in on this one too. So I've not played a lot of Lacerdas. My goal is to play most of them. I know that his games are always really complex, big, meaty, heavy games, right? Because you have On Mars and Kanban and whatever. But for me, this theme, this New York, Manhattan, prohibition, speakeasies, like I love that. Like as a whiskey bourbon aficionado guy, I've been to a ton of speakeasies in the last 15, 20 years that had the big renaissance of those, like the fake speakeasies. You would love. There's one in St. Pete that you would love, man. It's like a Cuban themed or like a speakeasy.
But we had them here.
Oh yeah,
right? I worked with a lady. Her family ran restaurants here.
Yeah,
and a lot of they were all in the same circles. A lot of them had in Ybor City.
Yeah,
these tunnels that would go from restaurant to restaurant in order to move booze during the Prohibition times. 100%. Like there's books about Ybor City and Tampa's mafia culture and
tons of that stuff. Traficante and all
those
guys.
Very interesting themes.
Very big down here in Tampa, yeah. But the modern ones are fun, right? Because they're always like themed, right? So like there's one in St. Pete. You go in and it's a laundromat, right? Just it's a complete laundromat and has like a little coffee bar, like a cafe con leche, like Cuban coffee bar. And then there's a payphone on the wall, and you pick up the payphone and you dial the right number. The washing machine next to it clicks, and you can pull the washing machine out, and there's a whole bar behind the washing machine, and it's this Cuban like revolution themed, like the Cuba Libre is there, and it's like this theme. It's such a cool place. There's all these amazing rum drinks and stuff. That kind of stuff's fun. So anyways, I want to play
going into the laundromat dressed into your tees.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, just go to the laundry tonight.
Yeah, looking like a champ. So speakeasy, what is it? Earn money.
Let's open this one up here. So here we go. Speakeasy. Earn money running a Manhattan speakeasy business during Prohibition. So you are, look at that cover. Ian O'Toole, man, come on. It's got the jazz. Nice art. It's got the gangster. It's got the cop. It's got it's hard to see, but if you pay attention, you get the socialite with the champagne in her hand. That's a fantastic cover. That dude's an artist.
Area majority, hand management, economic, industry and manufacturing. These are hitting on a lot of themes that I enjoy.
Yeah. Look, the whole map is Manhattan. Right? So it's, lower part of Manhattan. Look at that. That's busy. but that looks cool.
Look at these little trucks. You
Yeah.
see the wooden trucks?
Yeah, delivering the booze and bringing it out.
The truck meeples.
I mean, that looks pretty cool. And Eagle Griffin. I mean, they did the Rococo game that I own. That's just fantastic. But this game is speaking to me as far as a game that I will own and play like once every couple of years, probably, because it's massive and big.
It's that 3-hour estimated time, just about.
Yeah, probably. It was the time.
160 minutes. 40.
Yeah.
It says 40 to 160. So it looks like it's 40 minutes per player. Is what they're calling it.
Yeah, probably the case, right? 40 to 100. So I mean, 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm down for this one. So I mean,
all right, I look forward to you getting it. I love this for you.
I don't know if I'm gonna get it, but I know that there will be somebody in our group, either whether it be Sam or James or somebody will own this game, and I'm gonna get it played because it looks cool. I just like the theme. I'm down for the theme. Yeah. Let's see. Dawn of the Bronze Age.
For me, it's that keyword that's it's all the hotness now.
Yeah.
This game was doing it a while ago, but it's all the hotness now. That word duel.
Right here.
Like everything's a duel now. So
Lord of the Rings duel in the Middle Ages. Yeah.
It's Seven Wonders duel in the Lord of the Rings universe. I don't need to say more. It picks up on the Seven Wonders duel. I think it was one of the first games to do the duel title that I can think of.
Now everything has to have a dual title now.
Like didn't Rob just post up Azul duel is coming out?
Yeah, they all are.
So that's one that's on my list there because it's Seven Wonders duel and it's Lord of the Rings. Put the two together, it's probably an insta buy.
Yeah.
And then the next one would be for me Undaunted Callisto.
No, so actually the next one right here, Shackleton Base, is interesting to me. Again, it goes back to I've been binging For All Mankind, and they literally have Shackleton Base in the show. I'm obsessed with that show, by the way. And this is basically a game where you are your presence on the moon. You're building a base in the Shackleton crater on the moon, and you're colonizing the moon, which is like. I watched that show For All Mankind, and I see kind of there's ups and downs to it, but like the progression of like what we could be doing. Like, why do we not have like a land base on the moon just to do it, right? Because like,
well, did we even ever really go though?
Yeah, come on now, don't make me hurt you. I'll come over there. Like, who believes that? Come on, really?
We'll save that for the after show.
Dude, we could definitively prove it, man. We could literally look on a.
No, I'm joking about it because I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he does not believe that we've actually gone to the moon. Like,
Look,
and listen, this is a great episode because it's Matt Walsh trying to explain to Joe Rogan how there's no way we haven't gone to the moon. Like, it's great episode. Look, it's the two characters that are going at it. And the topic makes it hilarious. That's why I had to say that. Sorry,
I
let
to
it
feel,
go.
Though, like no. Just the point being is like, even he doesn't believe that. He's just saying that.
He's got to be saying it just for his audience. Because even Matt Walsh is like, listen,
dude, come on.
There's no evidence that this was faked. Right. Like, okay, you're saying that you didn't believe it happened, so that means you have to believe that something did happen, and that thing was a cover up. Where's the evidence of the cover-up? Like, no one has ever brought any evidence of a cover-up.
He's had Neil deGrasse Tyson on his show a million times. And Neil deGrasse Tyson is like, he's like, look, you could literally take...
You see what happens when people don't call in? You see what happens when you don't call in? This is where Wayne and I degrade to.
He's like... there we go. Thank you. Someone's like shutting us up because we're talking about like Joe Rogan.
Beans and Ice Podcast. State your name, where you're calling from. No.
Oh, call back in.
I pushed the button. Maybe I pushed it too soon.
Oh, you hung up on somebody.
Yeah.
It was probably James.
I don't think I recognize the number, but hey, yeah. We got the hint. We're moving on. New topics. Keep it going. Shackleton Base. Why is it awesome?
Yes, I love it. No, I just love the concept of like building a permanent base on the moon. Like, I think that's just the next step in our evolution to the stars, our movement to the stars is like, and yeah, I'm not. There we
I'm
go.
gonna try it
Oh, yeah.
again. I'm gonna push. We can watch me, Wayne. I'm gonna push the button, the green button.
Green button, not the red one.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where you calling from?
Hi, my name's Tony. I'm calling from California.
Hey, man,
Hello,
how's it going?
Tony. Welcome to the Beans and Dice Podcast, a podcast about board games. What do you got going on?
I kind of wanted to comment on the moon landing.
My man, I like that. Wayne, I opened the can. Let's go.
All right.
So you think it's
Say again, Tony.
we landed on the moon?
I'm gonna go with the. I've seen no evidence that supports that a conspiracy has happened. That a cover up
So you know
has happened.
Kubrick is,
I'm sorry. Say again.
you know who Stanley Kubrick is?
Yes.
You know the director. You know, like he was very open about directing the moon landing.
All right. So I need to research Stanley Kubrick
Right. He shot on location.
on the moon.
It's a joke.
I was waiting for that.
I like Tony. Thank you, Tony, for the call. Much appreciated. I think Tony gets the joke.
He does. He does. Yeah.
Thank you, Tony. All right, so Shackleton base.
Yep, that was a good one. I'm all about it. So anyway, we should go to the moon. That's all. Again,
I think again, just to really show like it can happen. Like,
Undaunted.
let's
Here's
shut this down.
Here's your game.
The tough part is like leaving the flat Earth. Like, how do we do that?
I know, right? The cats haven't pushed everything off yet.
I'm sorry, folks. That's what happens when Rob's not around.
That's all right. Yeah,
Rob's Callisto.
We can pretend to be Rob and be like, I'm gonna talk about Undaunted 2200 Callisto. I'll be brief.
Yeah, 2
30
hours
minutes.
later.
I'm interested in this. I have actually not played any Undaunted yet. And I should.
You're really gonna like it. It's
Yeah.
a really good deck building game.
Yep. Oh, here we go.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where you calling from?
Beans and Franks. Beans and Franks.
Hello, caller.
Beans and Franks. Beans and Franks.
Okay.
We got
Hey.
calls.
They could have talked about the JFK assassination being fake too, or like we.
Hey, whatever gets us callers, right?
Yeah, I know. Right? Anyway, all right. Let's see. Yeah, Callisto. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to. There are a subsection of board gamers who are not into war games, of like historical war games. They don't want to play the World War II stuff. They don't want to play the World War I, whatever. So, but this is space, right? It's a different universe, and they've created a universe now where they can expand. And so,
they've got their own. They can create stories and narratives.
Right. And they have, like in this game, you can tell like there's a whole narrative piece to it.
Now, what do you think about the corporations versus the people kind of theme that they went here? So it wasn't like
I'm good with that. You see a lot of that with space stuff. Think about like what's the Amazon TV series with the Belters and
Eclipse, Ellipse. Man, why is it eluding me right now? I know what you're talking about.
And yeah, so you see that a lot, especially when you go to space, right? Because it's going to be like the workers versus the corporations and governments and things like that. But I'm okay with that. And I think this is gonna bring a different subset of gamers into the Undaunted
Expanse.
My
man James Odak in the chat.
James Odak, thank you, James. I love that show. That is the single greatest showing of like space combat, like what it would really be like. All right, here we go. What we got?
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where you calling from?
I've been to the moon. Beans and Franks. Beans and Franks.
We have really popped off today with that topic.
Wow, man.
Maybe I should never do that joke again.
Never bring up like the
Conspiracy theories, like all the tinfoil hats are coming out, brother.
I don't know where that came from, man.
I want to touch on the theme of Callisto and Expanse, and the reason why I think it's a good idea, right? Because they could have went space opera, Star Wars-esque. They could have went future battle tech style, right? Different societies going at each other. But by going with this corporations versus the little people, I think it's really going to allow for the split, the asymmetry in the game, right? People who are the workers who don't have access to the money, the big guns, the mech, the tech, right? Versus the corporations with an endless amount of dollars, to be able to really separate the two factions and allow for that real asymmetric play. So you're not getting sameness of it'll be red versus blue instead of like red versus red, like very similar types of equipment. Beans and Dice Podcast, state your name, where you calling from.
What in the world is going on?
Listen, I joke about not going to the moon one time.
One time.
We've
had more prank calls than we've had in 5 years.
The YouTube showed up, bro.
YouTube showed up. Rob goes away. I don't call in when I normally do, and this is what happens.
Cats and dogs getting along.
Springfield, Ohio. Watch out.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry. Ron Fraser, the show is yours. The show is yours.
We got to change the banner. Here we go. We get Ron's banner up here.
Yeah, so guys, there's a topic that Wayne and I are going to actually talk about on my podcast. But
yes. Let's reschedule that. I appreciate you letting me reschedule that. The last couple of weeks have been rough.
Yeah, it's all good. But I just wanted to talk about it briefly, and that's the concept of the third place. And, in the context of board gaming hobby, it's a place where you go together to play board games. But the third place, for those folks that are listening that don't know what that is that like usually there's two places that like define your lifestyle. Typically, it's your home where you live, and for those of us that work outside of the home, your place of employment. So we spend the majority of our time at either of those two places. Where the third place is another location where you spend the time, a good bit of time, but it's not for work obligation, or it's not your home necessarily, but it's a place where you might go to socialize, to connect. And it's really important for us human beings to connect. In the board game hobby, finding a regular place to play board games is really important. And I'll just just for me in my situation, I think I've shared this on a previous call. I used to be the guy that hosted board games. So for folks in my play group, my home was my home was the third place. Twice a month, sometimes more than that. My friends would come over to play board games, and that was their place where they connected and unwound and all that kind of stuff. And I loved being that for my group, right? I'm at a stage right now where I don't have the mental capacity to do that, nor, do I really want to ask that of my family. And so I've noticed that my board game group has largely dissolved because of it. Hopefully one of these guys can get something together where we can actually play board games regularly. But other places I go to, I'm just driving home from one of the many local game stores in the Atlanta area, Beyond Blessed, hanging out with some friends, and tonight playing Super Show. But a lot of times I go and I play other board games, and I've run role playing games for the parents of a scout troop that one of my friends is kind of like the advisor of, and everything like that. And so I wanted to ask right quick, Carlos and Wayne, like what are those third places for you right now? Oh yeah, and third place is not just about a gaming, but also like a church should be a third place, definitely a third place, right? Like a church or a synagogue or whatever, what have you. You get it, the library. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I'm gonna try to save some of it for the conversation on your podcast too, but like, or we can repeat it. There is, it's like the third place has changed over time too, right? Like in the 50s and 60s, 70s, whatever, like sort of that golden age of the boomer generations. You had the Elks clubs or the halls that the guys would go to hang out on a Friday night, right? Or the local bar that everyone went to, or the church on the weekends. Those various places you go to, and like a lot of those are like no longer necessarily around. Like the Elks and the Masons and those various the VFW halls and those kind of things. And then like I think you hit the nail on the head too. Is like your home, right? It's like before I was married, or even after I was married, before I had children, my home was a third place because everyone would come over here and we'd play a role-playing game every Friday or Saturday night, and we'd be doing 7C or Deadlands or D&D and things like that. But when you have kids and family and pets and like, I've got a great game room in the front of my house, but like doesn't get used very often at all, if ever, right? Just because, my third place is probably now the soccer fields because my kid has made a travel soccer team and he had 3 practices this weekend. He had practice Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I was at soccer fields all 3 nights. He has a game on Saturday, a travel game where we're in Tampa. We're driving to Orlando. He's playing at Disney's ESPN World of Sports, a game there. So that's a 2-hour drive there and the game and several hour drive back. And then Sunday he's got another game, right? So it's like in 5 days I will have spent, 25 hours, 30 hours on soccer fields. So like my third place is like, I'm trying to figure out like, how can I game on a soccer field? Like I'm trying to figure out if any of the parents of all of the team is like, are any of you guys gamers? Is anyone wearing a nerd shirt that I might be able to connect with here? Because like I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, I'm playing games on my phone. So I am,
which you feel horrible about in the sense of it looks like playing on your phone looks like you're just scrolling on Facebook or something, right?
I'm playing.
Other parents are sitting there scrolling through the social media feeds.
Right.
You're just wanting to have a connection, and play a game.
Playing board games, yeah. So I think like, so I'll answer the question that Carlos goes, like looking for I am still looking for a good third place, right?
Right. Yeah.
I have played the last 2 months, August and September, which is the worst 2 months of the year for me because I work in higher education, beginning of the school year, fall, whatever. Like I haven't gamed at all, really in the last month and a half, which is crazy, other than BGA. So like right now, I would say my third place is Board Game Arena. Like it is, I log in, like when I wake up in the morning, I'll grab my coffee and I'll come in my office and I'll log in like as I'm logging into work, I pull up BGA and I'm like, I have 26 games to take turns in. Yes. And I just sit there for 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and I just take all my turns. And that's like a zen moment.
Caffeine hit,
Yeah.
It takes about 45 minutes for that caffeine to hit.
Yeah. In not this weekend, but the following weekend, I'll be at Necronomicon and I'm bringing 30, 40 games.
Is that next weekend?
It's next weekend. Yeah.
And
I'm just going to game. Yeah. Gonna play a ton of board games. So I think that the third place is really important, and I love this conversation. But I think that like as we age or at different points in
more
our
importantly,
lives,
as your kids age,
true, yeah, as we have family or kids or pets or like I'm like TMI, I'm caring for an elderly mother who has got some health issues, so that takes a lot of time too. So it's like that third place is super important because I've found that my stress level when I don't have a third place to let go of those other things is important. But anyway, so my third place right now, I would say, is Board Game Arena. In the last month or two, but my third place in July was Dice Tower East, and my third place in about a week and a half would be Necronomicon, and then we'll see from there. Carlos, what do you got?
Right.
It's gonna be I know I've raised kids of a huge band of ages, so it does get impacted by your duties, whatever your duties are at that moment, which Wayne, I've not yet had to care for a parent. I'm not looking forward to that stage of life. I know that's got to be tough. So you have our support, Rob and I, whatever you need, we're here to help. When it comes to me and my family, we restarted with new babies post-COVID. So pre-COVID, Armada Games would have been my third place. I hate saying that because I still was going to church, but I probably wasn't at church as much as I was like at Armada, right? I would go, it'd be the Sunday thing. But with the younger kids, there's always the programs for the kids. There's the Sunday worship, there's the Sunday evening programs, and then you got the men's group stuff. Next thing I know, I'm spending, dang near 10 hours a week plus at church. So that's my current third place. Before COVID, it would have been Armada Games when the kids were older, more self-sufficient, and I had the ability to kind of shoot over there after work for games.
Well, folks, if you want some more of that, Wayne and I, and maybe Carlos, if we can rope him in, we're going to have a discussion on my podcast that will be releasing soon whenever we can get this thing together.
Yeah, and I can tell you about how I try to convert my third place into a gaming space the way Wayne did by bringing Christian-themed board games to church and just praying somebody's like, oh, I want to play that.
Hey, man, I mean, that's a valuable, that'd be a great topic to discuss if we can, work it out.
Absolutely. And
thank you for making
that was,
Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, but obviously that's been on my mind because Wayne and I got to talk about it. But just kind of like that concept of it didn't really occur to me that like my home was a third place for other people.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that today, right? Because Rob's out of town. And Rob's not here. Mm-hmm. And, it's like, okay, I don't have to really set up to have Rob visit. Like, usually when Rob comes, we try to make sure that there's enough dinner for him to have something before the show because, I know that he's having to make his way over here. And they got me wondering, like, why he could do it from his house like Wayne does. It's so easy to just log in and do it. But then I thought, well, you know what? Maybe this is his escape. Like, maybe driving 20 minutes to come to my house, spend 3.5 hours hanging out with me, enjoying a beverage or two, is his third place. Yeah. Is his escape.
Well, and adding to that, like, I don't want to be remote. like I really enjoy coming over and doing the pre-show game and having some food and BSing with you and Rob in person, playing a game and doing the show live in person is different than this. This is fun. I love this to death. But if it wasn't for the damn soccer practice, I would have been over there tonight. Like let's play a game or something, right? But also, I think it's Rob's third place. He comes there and plays a game with you, or maybe you and me before the game. But he also brings his kid over, right?
Yeah.
And his kid and your kid hang out, and it's their third place because they hang out and get to do stuff. They don't get to hang out as often because you guys live far enough apart where they're not in the same schools. So like it's almost like a third place for multiple generations of the family.
Save that content, says Ron Fraser.
I will. Yes.
Hey, Ron, thank you for making the phone call about board gaming in general and not running me down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories that I somehow opened a can of worm on.
We've never been to the moon.
No problem. No problem. I figured, I wasn't going to call in today, but like I was thinking about this, and I'm like, I need to save these guys.
I need to rein this in. We got to rein this in. Good night, Ron. Much appreciated. God bless.
Love you, Ron. Thanks, man.
All right. Take care.
My man, Ron Fraser, bringing us back.
Yeah.
Bringing us back.
Thank God.
We were talking Essen. You know, it's funny. When we started the show, I said, this would be a short one, probably maybe an hour. And then we started looking at this Essen list, and we haven't even talked about games we played yet. We're just still going through like our Essen list.
I mean, really, the next few games on Essen list were a Barcelona expansion, a Nucleum expansion, a bunch of expansions. Now, here's the one. I mean, this is not even an Essen release because it's been out before.
Share your screen, brother.
Yep, I'm going back to it. Yep, let me get here. Window.
You skipped over Sand. It kind of touched on me a little bit. Like I kind of looked at it for a second, only because of it got announced or came out right around when Dune the movie, the part 2 was coming out.
Yeah.
And this is like a derivative of Dune. Like it's called Sand.
Right.
And it's got like a worm in the desert.
But Nucleum expansion, Barcelona expansion. Here's one. Video game champion.
Oh, you brought this one last week, didn't you?
I gotta play, or a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I gotta play this one, man. I just love the concept of this game. There's another Brazilian game, so it's like the same, not the same designer, but the same country, obviously, as Comic Hunters. But the whole concept. Look at the controller. Look at the thing. Like that's kind of cool, right? You're like a teenager, right? And you're trying to like become a video game champion. So we all remember, those of us of a certain age, when you go to Blockbuster Video and you would rent a video game that wasn't like a sports game. It's like you rented Zelda and you played it and you only got so far and you had that save and the save was on the cartridge. So you had to like either take it out again or beat the game in one sitting and or you needed the money to rent the game. So you'd have to do some side jobs. You have to do some chores to get the money. So the whole concept is you have to balance like doing chores to get money, to rent the games, to play the games, to become the video. Come on, that's like a theme that like hits in at least our age group of gamers.
Us old guys.
Those older guys, which we're not that old, man. But yeah, this game looks cool. And again, it's a game that has gotten a lot of cool buzz as like similar to Comic Hunters, where it's like it's just a good, solid game. The theme hits, all the gameplay fits with the game that you're playing. So yeah, that's the video game champion. Expansion of Planet Unknown.
Couple expansions to Endangered in there.
Yeah.
And I think it's a standalone as well.
Yeah, this one, I already have this. Again, I already have this expansion. So it's already been released. If you Kickstarted it, you already got it.
Yeah, we've talked Mercury before. I think that's on the list there.
Endangered Rescue, yeah, that's like a standalone. Mary Curie, and In the Footsteps of Mary Curie. So this is a follow-up to In the Footsteps of Darwin.
But the reviews haven't seemed to hit as hard.
No, it rated 6.9, so it's not hitting very well.
We shall see.
We shall see.
Far Away, I don't know how this one's on there. We've played Far Away.
Yep.
So I'm really curious as to, I guess, have we gotten to the place where these are all just games that are being sold?
Sold and or released. Like, don't forget, it's Essen, so maybe this game hasn't been released in Essen yet.
Ah, I see. We're talking about a whole different continent.
Yep. So
okay, all right. Well,
that's what I'm saying. Like, you get a lot of games that are not necessarily they've already been released here. Now they're being released in Germany.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Hello and good evening. Happy Thursday, gentlemen. This is Nick from Wesley Chapel.
Hello, Mr. Oben.
Hello, Carlos. Maybe. How you doing?
We are looking at ways of spending our money that we shouldn't be.
Yeah. Hey, it's better than drugs, right?
Agreed. So,
I mean,
it could be cocaine. Like it could be cocaine, right?
I don't know. I'll let you know after November if it's legalized here in the state of Florida.
Oh my goodness. Well, happy Thursday, guys. I know I'm just now tuning in, and I see Rob is not with you, and I knew that. I know he's off gallivanting and whatnot.
Rob is bow hunting in Georgia.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I last saw him, slamming down his warhammer on top of some sun demons or whatever here in Frosthaven land. We had a good time. We played last night. And I had a good time, and I'm not going to lie, I'm cleaning up the game just now. Frosthaven is a monster of a game as far as, it's every scenario you have to reach into the treasure trove that you have and see, which of the 50 monster decks do you need to pull out, what map tiles you need and all that. So in general, with the whole area of my house dedicated to just holding the game components, like we don't box them back up. They're just out. And it's like going to the Frosthaven area to pull what you need. And I'm finally just now cleaning it up and being like, oh crap, it's 10 o'clock. It's time for me to call in for Beans and Dice After Dark,
After Dark. There we go. I like it. We actually talked about that earlier about how, setup and takedown of a game can affect it. We talked about how the new Undaunted Callisto doesn't do the tiles, where you're always looking for new tiles. And we talked about Mansion of Madness and the original Gloomhaven with the tile aspect. And do you find yourself setting up Frosthaven for an hour before you play, and then afterwards spending an hour breaking it down, where you may play for 2 hours or 3 hours, but you've spent 2 additional hours in breakup and set down?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to, we had the luxury of basically, I have enough space here dedicated that it is just constantly unboxed. I can take pictures and put it on the Discord. Hey, everyone, if you're not on the Discord, join. But I can put on the picture and show. I mean, we're talking about, I have 8 square feet. It's not a huge space, but like a table worth of space dedicated to the components of Frosthaven just sitting out, right? Not boxed up, but sitting out. And so because of that, setup only takes 20 to 25 minutes, right? And putting it away is I'm now, it's actually quicker to put it away, because setting up takes a while because I have to look and see what I need. Putting things away is just like, boom, put everything back, real quick. It's like half the time. But if I had to, we've talked about this before. If we had to box up and unbox every time, it would be like that. It'd be easily 40 minutes, probably set up, 40 to 60 minutes set up, and probably 20 to 30 breakdown. At which point you still play, but it's annoying. And then another nice thing is not taking anything away from Rob and Joe saying that they're missing anything, but they don't do any of that, right? And again, not saying they need to, but I have the game permanently at my house. My benefit is I never have to drive to go play Frosthaven. Rob and Joe make the drive every time. But what that means is I've got the game set up. So they arrive and it's just like, hey guys, let's sit down and play, right? I do all the setup and then the breakdown, because then they have to drive home when we're done. So they drive home and I'm like, yeah, go ahead. You don't have to clean it up. I'll clean it up. So,
and I guess if you enjoy stuff like that, right? Like we've talked about the zen of like boxing and unboxing games or like whatever. So that there's something about that where you can enjoy that time, I guess.
It's funny you mentioned that. So my daughter likes unloading the dishwasher. I won't say that she likes it, but of all the chores that we have, she's like, that one's not a chore. Like, I'll do it, no problem, right? And it's that same thing. It's that like zenness of like, I've got these nice components and I'm going to put them back where they go. And there's that satisfying of like, aha, this fits back in its little storage container. This tile nests inside of that one or whatever, right? And so putting away, I get that. The setup, less so. But the setup is kind of exciting because I get to actually look and see who are the bad guys. Oh, we're fighting hounds, polar bears, and sun demons today. That's neat, right? And so it's the anticipation is there if you're into the game. And then on the breakdown, it's relaxing. It's then like I get that whole, I get to put, I was just doing it. This is ridiculous. I think 50 is probably about right. I mean, if you look it up and correct me, maybe it's only 30. But as far as the number of different mobs, number of different monsters or bad guys that you'll fight on a regular basis in Frosthaven, each of which has a deck of cards. Each is kind of like Marvel United in that way. We're like, every superhero you play has a deck of cards, and that's like what they do. Every monster in Frosthaven is driven by a small deck. We're talking maybe 10 or 12 cards per monster. And so I'm looking at a stack of cards that's, 4 or 5 inches tall. So hundreds of cards. And I have them, of course, alphabetized, right? And so, because how else would you arrange them, right? Not a maniac. And so putting them away then is like, it's kind of fun. Like, the polar bear cards go just right after the Piranha Pig cards. I remember that because I just did it, and that's the actual name of the monster that goes alphabetically before Polar Bear. So I see the Piranha Pig, and I'm like, all right, cool. Polar Bear goes next. And yeah, I guess I'm weird. It's fun. I like it. It feels organized. It feels on purpose, and that's my
cathartic
life brand.
Yeah.
Yes. But last night the scenario was actually really, really good. Frosthaven, I'll give it the real quick review of last night's scenario because Rob has not already talked about it a bunch. It was fun, and Frosthaven continues to deliver. It's better than Gloomhaven. I think all three of us would say that. We're maybe 15, 20 scenarios, somewhere in that range in the Frosthaven at this point. And whereas Gloomhaven was solid, super solid, obviously, very interesting storyline. They wanted to finish. There was at no time, any time where we were like, oh, we're not going to finish. Like, we were going to finish Gloomhaven for sure. Frosthaven, though, is continuing to surprise us. Like, ooh, they did something neat in this scenario that is different, not just from a game mechanic way, but like a puzzly scenario kind of setup, or just a surprising one where it's like all of a sudden you gotta solve this problem that we did not see coming. And we didn't see it coming after playing, hundreds of hours of Gloomhaven and now tens of hours of Frosthaven, and we're still surprised genuinely by the twists and turns that the scenario takes us. And last night was one of those. It was fun. It was like, whoa, okay, we got to solve this problem now, and it was really, really cool. So I'm not going to give any spoilers because you'll lose, all of your fans if I give Frosthaven spoilers.
Joe Schmo says, I'm saving up for Frosthaven, ... one day.
One day. How is without getting into spoilers? So the one aspect of Frosthaven that I kind of liked was like, and you see this in some D&D video games where like you're the adventuring clan, right? And then you're still adventuring, but you have this like base of operations, and you go out and do your adventure, and then you come back and you build up the base of operations. One of the early criticisms was that the whole concept of building up the town of Frosthaven was kind of like an ancillary thing or not very interesting. Has that gotten more interesting? There's the scenarios, which are great, but how has the building of the town and the interaction with the town and the building of the town either become more important or is still kind of just a meh thing?
So that's the part. I think we just talked about this last night. That's the part that I won't say it feels ancillary or meh, but it's moving slower than the character development and scenario play is. Whereas the scenario play, like I mentioned, here we are 15 or 20 in, and the thing that happened last night we did not see coming. Whoa, right? The outpost phase, the other, maybe you spend a quarter of your time in the outpost phase, total game time. The outpost phase right now is very methodical and predictable. Like boom, 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 and you're kind of slowly building up this town. We are making progress. We are getting new buildings. We haven't gotten a new one in a little while. One of the main resources in the game or things in the game that you build up over time is prosperity with a capital P. So you gain prosperity points. That dictates how advanced Frosthaven can get. And those prosperity points our criticism seem to be few and far between, which is keeping Frosthaven just kind of moving, like kind of stagnant a little bit. Like it's not moving, but it's like, all right, well, how do we get prosperous, right? Like, how do we do this thing? We feel like we're leveling up characters, and the scenarios we're doing are getting harder and cooler. Beating bad guys, but the town is still stuck on level 2. When do we get to prosperity level 3, please? So that'll be interesting. One thing that's neat is to look at. I'm looking right at the campaign sheet, looking right at the Frosthaven sheet, and we are, as far as the real estate provided on the number of outpost phases that they expect you to have by default, we are less than a quarter of the way through. So I feel like it might be okay that it feels a little slow. Like we're literally in the opening 20% of the game, right? So that's why it feels slow, maybe. But another thing that's neat is once you hit the next prosperity level, it's like you have to get a certain number of points before your Frosthaven gets to the next level. Once you hit that, boom, all of the level 3 stuff is available. And since we've spent some time hanging out in level 2, we have a crap ton of resources, herbs, wood, metal. We're ready to build all of the level 3 stuff. So that'll be fun. That'll be like this big thing where maybe instead of a trickle effect where it slowly gets better, it'll be all of a sudden the outpost phase will be super fun because you can only build one new building every outpost phase. But once we hit level 3, every outpost phase for like 5 or 6 ones in a row, we will be adding a new building. And every time you add a new building, you add a new ability that you can do while you're in Frosthaven. You can level up your weapons. You can level up your potions. And so that'll be a whole thing. So it's been a while at level 2. And at this point, the outpost phase is kind of like, all right, we're moving through the same buildings. Last night we did the outpost phase right before the scenario. And we almost skipped through it. Like, we didn't skip it, but we were like, does anyone need to do potions? Nope. We all have level 2 potions. Does anyone need to do craftable items? Nope. We have all those items. Okay, moving on, So once we hit level 3, it'll be good.
So it's almost like you're getting ready to like your town has been struggling, and once you hit the next level, it's like boomtown time. It's like the gold rush.
Yes.
And that's what I'm wondering, because a big part of what was sold in this game, and you and Rob provide regular updates, has not really come up in those conversations, and that was the crafting component.
Right.
Like the idea of taking things and making things, and you're talking about going from level 2 to level 3. Like, has that selling point shown up in your game? Have they delivered?
It's we're waiting for it to get better. It's there. It's again, we're 20%. I'm looking right at the sheet. We're 20% of the way through the predicted number of outpost phases. So it's weird because, okay, well, watch this. And I think this is the thing. There's a separation between the Frosthaven story arc and your individual character story arc. And I think what the problem is, and we're having a little therapy session right now, I think my problem is I'm conflating the two. I just hit last night, after that scenario,
you're about to retire.
Level 9 out of 9 on my first character.
Your character's about to retire.
Yeah. I feel I'm done, right? I'm done with this character. But there's like 15 playable characters. Meanwhile, Frosthaven, the town, needs to last the entire gameplay, right? And so
I can see the discontinence there, the disconnect.
Character out-leveled the town, basically.
Yes. And my character is like moving and shaking. Every other scenario, I'm gaining a level, getting new ability cards, but they're still using the same items. The items that you get, by and large, the craftable potions, the craftable items, the buyable items, by and large, those are dictated by the Frosthaven level. So I think that's the key right there, is while my character level and abilities are going up at a nice, exciting clip, their ability to get a new item. I haven't gotten a new item for my character since like level 5.
Because you're in a crappy town.
From level 5 to level 9.
You're living in a crappy town where they can't make good stuff.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, imagine playing like a World of Warcraft game online or something, and your level 80, paladin is still using a wooden shield and rusty sword, right? Kind of thing. And that's what it's like. Where it's like my character, I can cast level 9 spell and steal your soul and use it to raise up 2 skeletons, and then they're going to eat your buddies. I can do that, but I've got this like crude shield. That's what I got.
Okay.
And so
I see that.
It's not. Yeah, it's cute. It's cute. But I think it'll get. Like our barracks. We'll keep waiting for the barracks to be able to level up. Anyway, it's not the point. It's fun. Last night was a lot of fun. That's my Frosthaven update, and now Rob can listen after the fact and chime in. No, it's amazing. We love it.
It gives Joe Schmo 32. Did I get that right? Joe Schmo 32 in the chat gives him something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very good.
I commend you guys for the fortitude it takes to play that long a campaign game, though. Like my wife and I are playing Jaws of the Lion, which is like 20 or 24 missions, 20 to 25 missions, maybe, right? And we're like 12 or 13 in, and we kind of just like, nah. And we probably haven't played it in 3 months now. Like it's like we need to get back to it and finish it, but now it's like been so long. It's like a slog to get back into it. So like playing on a regular basis and getting through a campaign, like one, you guys finished Gloomhaven already, which Jesus, and now you're going through Frosthaven too. Like when you guys get through both of these games, that is a serious commitment to a campaign.
Isaac Childers needs to show up at your house like to shake your
with
hand.
like champagne bottle and something,
with a big check, like Publishers Clearinghouse or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate the I think mostly a compliment there. I will say
it is totally a compliment.
You've got persistence, although it's also kind of like, what are you doing? I feel like, I mean,
that's how I took it
in my head. In my head, because here's what's funny is I wish I could tell you that this is par for the course, but it's not. This is actually like, I looking as an outsider looking in at my own life, I'd be like, why are you still playing this game? Holy crap, dude. Like, man, we're talking years commitment on a fairly regular basis. Meanwhile, I got kids' activities. I got other games I could be playing. I mean, there have been many times where we played Frosthaven instead of something else, right? Fun related, but we keep choosing Frosthaven or Gloomhaven in the beginning. And it is, I think at this point, just kind of like, well, we've got this thing going and it is still fun. And I'm not going to lie, credit to Rob as the kind of main ringleader. He is normally the one, if it's been a week and we don't have another game on the schedule, he'll normally be the one to be like, oh, when can we play again?
He's a tenacious little SOB.
Yes. And then that's the key there. That's the key is if someone says, hey, let's get something on the calendar, when can we play again? Joe and I look at our calendar, we see, okay, we actually are free next Wednesday. All right, let's put it on the calendar. And then boom, it's on the calendar, and now we know it's going to happen, right? It does help that I've got basically the pseudo-permanent setup. So the game is here, the guys come over, we have beers, we hang out. It's a social event. I mean, they're normally over here something like 3.5, maybe even 4 hours. Probably about 4 hours. And we are playing the game, 2.5 to 3 of that. So we're playing it most of the time, but we're also hanging out. We catch up, and Rob was telling us last night about his trip and what Joe's got going on with work or whatever. So it's also a good hangout time. Now that we've been hanging out for years together doing this. So that is definitely a piece of it too. We like each other. It's a friendly hangout that happens to be a game as well. But yeah, it's good.
Very cool.
But I do not have a desire to jump into something else like that at all right now. And it's its own thing for sure.
And I guess
I struggle.
It's sort of retrospect, like thinking about it is like I've had D&D campaigns and other role playing games that have been 3-4 years where we met every week or twice a month for 3 or 4 years playing a campaign. And so that's similar to Frosthaven and Gloomhaven, but it to me it
for Euro gamers.
It just feels different though, right? Like the role play game aspect where it's just I show up my dice and pencil and we just whatever versus it's crazy though. But yeah.
Yep. No, I'm with you. Very good. Awesome. I think oh yeah, look at it. I took up more than 10 minutes.
That's all good though, man. How goes the hunt for a hotel for DragonCon?
Oh, I haven't. No, I gotta get that. I gotta get a hotel. Well, there's still one. What, October 1st, right? October. You sent me the link. I think it's October 1st.
Yeah. The next one.
I have it marked down on my calendar. And yeah, I mean, it's one of the things where I'm not going. It's tricky. On one hand, I acknowledge that if you are not kind of psychotic about it, then you're just not going to get a room, right? But there's on the flip side, it's like, I don't want to be crazy about it and get wrapped up and then get disappointed if I don't get one or whatever. So I'm gonna be online that morning and I'm gonna have a couple browsers open. I'll have a couple browsers open, whatever. I'll play the game. I'll play the game, but I'm not gonna actually, psychologically invest myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing I say too is during the course of the next year, just Dragon Con, Gen Con, whatever, people can find hotel rooms. Like you'll get an opportunity to get a room in the Hyatt or the Marriott. It might be a little more expensive because it's not a con rate, but you can get it. You'll be able to get a room. I have some friends that are like, I have a friend who we'll call Steve, who this guy never books a hotel ever, never buys a ticket ever, and just somehow he always gets a room, or always gets a badge, right? Just it happens. There's always a way. Magical. Yeah, magical.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I did spend a little bit of time going through the 2024 posts, and just seeing kind of how things played out as you got to within like a month of the con. Right. All of a sudden, actually, rooms became available. People had to change their plans. They had to transfer rooms and give up the room or whatever. Yeah. So I mean, it's like, I'm going to try. Yeah. But I'm not going to get bent out of shape if it doesn't.
I would say go ahead and buy your ticket though, because it's cheap now and you can always resell it later. So
that, or you're sleeping under the peach tree overpass.
Yeah. Be good. I'm looking. I hope to make it happen.
Yeah, sweet.
Thank you for making it a call-in show, brother. Much appreciated.
And Ron, and the conspiracy theorists have made it.
They all showed up.
Love it. All right, guys. Have a great night.
Good night, Nick.
Yep.
Phone lines are still open. 813-618-7099 is the number. We're still taking phone calls talking about board games. We just went through our list of the Essen preview list on BGG and kind of talked a little bit about all the different games.
Yeah, we went through like the first 100 hottest games kind of thing, picked out a few. So it was kind of fun.
And we'll talk a little bit about, I want to talk a little bit about some of the games that I have played lately. I know last week we had the Kids for Cardboard. I'm sorry. Yeah. 2 weeks ago.
Last week was Bunnies.
Kids for Cardboard. That's still going on.
Yes.
It's through October, through Tampa Gaming Guild. Go to Tampa Gaming Guild. Find them on Google. Kids for Cardboards. It's all K's. Kids as in K, and then cardboard with a K. Kids for Cardboard for Kids. What am I saying here? Cardboard for Kids through the Tampa Gaming Guild for One Voice, which is a children's cancer organization, an academy, a school where kids with cancer can go to school while they're being treated, and they really focus on providing them activities, and they want to do more board games. With your help, we can get them more board games. I know that I sent over a copy of Lupin Louie because I was so excited that would be a great game for that age group. Go to the website, Tampa Gaming Guild, Kids for Cardboard. There's also a link there to their Amazon wish list. You can buy a game from Amazon and have it delivered right to Chris Federspiel. We were talking about his name last week.
Yes,
it means Feather Game. I think it means.
Yeah.
Which is such a cool name. It'll go to Chris for Chris to take right to the kids. So
which is awesome.
Want to make sure I don't forget to throw that in there. Mission Hills Baptist Church in Tampa, Florida. It's actually in Temple Terrace. It's a small suburb inside Tampa. It is at the Mission Hills Baptist Church. Friday, September the last Friday of September, the 27th of September. Friday, 27th of September, Mission Hills. At 6 o'clock, I think between 6 and 8, we play board games. It's a men's group thing. So the guys get together and play some board games, have some snacks, light refreshments, and enjoy board games. I'm planning to be there. Our buddy Pat is going to be teaching games again. I know my buddy Sean in the chat, he popped in there and asking if I was going to be going to game night at Mission Hills. I replied, yes, that's my plan, is to get out there. I'm actually thinking about taking one of these games that I've recently played, which is the next thing we wanted to do, is talk about games that we have played. And for me, one of my recent plays is Nexus Ops. Nexus Ops, this is the version that I had picked up from someone out of Georgia. This is the first edition, Wayne, Avalon Hill version of Nexus Ops. Nexus Ops is an area control dice battling miniatures game, anywhere between 2 and 4 players, where you fight for control of land. That land, you explore it. When you take control of it, it may have different creatures, different mines. You're going to mine rubium. Rubium is the gem that you use as your resource to buy more units. You're going to use those gems to buy more units to take control of more areas. You get victory points for winning battles. When you win battles, you get victory points, but you also have secret objective cards. So you want to win certain types of battles or do certain things to help trigger these secret objectives that you just pop up out of nowhere. As an example, an objective might be start a fight with 5 lava leapers, right? Like you're going to go into the battle, and all I got to do is start that fight, and I can score that objective. First player to, I believe it was 12 or 10 victory points, and I think 14 is the long game, wins the game. This is the first edition version, which I had not played yet. It really got me interested in playing this one because I have second edition. Because of Renegade Games got the license from Avalon Hill to republish this one, and they're going to be using the same models that are in this game. So all the same sculpts that are in the original. It's going to be the same translucent plastic.
So the first edition and second edition were both Avalon Hill, and then Restoration is doing a third edition?
Avalon Hill owns it.
Right.
So first edition was published by Avalon Hill. Second edition, licensed by Avalon Hill. So they're still on the box right here, Avalon Hill on the box still. However, they are published by FFG.
Okay, Fantasy Flight, yeah.
FFG took some liberties with the game itself. It changed the design of the art. It went a little more, realistic, a little more 40K style. They changed all the minis, so the sculpts are different. The plastics are opaque. They're not the plastic that you're used to in the original, which was the translucent UV activated light. So like if you put on a black light in the original,
they light up,
they light up.
So really, the first and third edition are going to be compatible. The second is going to be kind of the standalone.
They're still the same. They're like effectively they're all the same game. So here's the first one comes with the basic set, right? It's the standard first edition, right? The second edition added new game modes. So King of the Hill and other ways to play the game.
Okay.
I really hope that Renegade goes in that way, that they don't do like what Hasbro did with the reprint of HeroScape, where they literally just reprint it. No changes to the rule book, no changes to the mechanisms. It's like the exact same thing as the original HeroScape. I really hope they go a little farther and just step it up a little bit, right? Add those extra game modes that are in this. The biggest difference between the second edition is they got rid of the monolith in the center, which was a 3D tower, because the monolith in the center is the King of the Hill spot. You can go up there with your dragons and swoop down and attack other places. They went to just kind of a flat tile, whereas in the original it was an actual elevated space. In the Renegade Games version, it is going to be a plastic molded space elevated again. So that's going to be cool to see. But hopefully they go in and add more. My son struggled with it. He's 13. He just struggled because of it's a dice-based battling game. Right. And sometimes, a lot of the times, if you're not strategizing well, if you're not making the right decisions on what types of units to put together into a combat unit to go fight something else, you're going to lose. Like he's taking his strongest forces at me, but what he's not realizing is when he takes damage, something's got to die.
Right.
This is why you need a lot of puny humans.
Yeah, you need a little cannon fodder.
Right. You got to have something to take the damage. So he struggled with it, but outside of that, it still plays in like an hour and a half, and it's probably one of my favorite dudes on a maps game.
Nice, cool.
So that was Nexus Ops. I want to take that with me to Mission Hills next week and hopefully teach it to the fellas there. Any plays for you before I jump into other plays?
So not plays, just because like honestly, between life, soccer, mom, work, not been gaming the last couple of weeks. I really haven't. And I think it's important to realize too. Like when you talk, like all social media, or board game podcasts, and everyone's always talking about all these games they're playing. Sometimes it's go get, hey, you know what? This is a dry month, right? Or this is a dry couple of weeks because of life, right? But what's cool is this last weekend I was finally able to we've been going through the house and kind of doing the Marie Kondo thing, let's get rid of some stuff. So I loaded up the mom's minivan and just with a ton of stuff to go to Goodwill, and I just drove over to Goodwill and just donated stuff because we're not using it, let's just get rid of it. Like all my kids He's 10 now. He doesn't care about toys. He wants video games and other stuff. So we're gonna get rid of all these toys. So anyway, went to Goodwill and like kind of while I'm there, I'm like, you know what? I kind of want a Zen moment. I'm just gonna get out of the car and like after I dropped everything off, let me go in. Walked around Goodwill, just taking 15, 20 minutes, and I went to the kids' toy area, and then I went to the board game area. Now, when you go to most Goodwills, you go to the board game area, it's all like 50 million copies of whatever party game, Trivial Pursuit, or like, I don't know, name a
horrible mass market
party game. Yeah. So I went in there, and they had a ton of those things, like, you know, whatever. But then I saw a couple of games. The first one I threw out there, so the Ted Lasso party game, right? Kind of mass market party game, but I'm a huge fan of Ted Lasso. Excuse me. And it was like $1.50. I'm like, done, sold. So you know, got Ted Lasso the party game. I'm like, all right, good. Then not pictured here, Quirkle. I saw Quirkle. I'm like, I love that game. I own a copy of it. Pull it out, complete version of Quirkle for like $2. I'm like, I bought it. And then we had
there are never any real games when I go.
Right, exactly. Usually not. Like I've had some good luck. I've gotten 4 or 5 games over a lot of years. But so Ted Lasso, and then I saw Quirkle. I grabbed that, and I'm like, look, I'm just gonna buy it. It's $2. I know that somebody I know doesn't own it. And then actually our friend Max from Portland was in town this weekend. We were gaming and hanging out a bit. And I said, hey, do you own Quirkle? She's like, no, what is it? And I explained it. I said, she's like, oh, that sounds like a Google game. I'm like, here you go. I just gave her the copy because it's $2. What do I care?
The game evangelist.
Right. Why not? And then I'm looking through the list, and here we go. We got Exit. This one is
that
Exit.
in Shrink?
Yes, in Shrink. Exit Theft on the Mississippi, and Exit Abandoned Cabin, and new in Shrink. $2 a piece. Sold, right? Let's do that. Right? And then the last game they had, here we go, little Star Wars X-Wing, right?
First edition,
but it was that, and it came with, so it's the base game, and it came with an expansion. It has the first Rebel Heroes pack with the Y-Wing and the little A-Wing. So
nice.
So
that was what I flew. I flew 4 Y-Wings. That was my favorite list to fly.
So I bought what was interesting is I bought it had the expansion box. So I bought the expansion box. It was like $1.50, and this was like $2. So I got all of this for like $20. I'm like, great. So when I got home, I opened up a Y-Wing expansion, the Y-Wing A-Wing one, and it was just the Y-Wing A-Wing. All the chits and all the pieces and cards for it wasn't in it. But I'm like, all right, what do you guess that whoever donated that to charity also donated this, and that all the pieces for that expansion were just in the base box, and they were.
There you go.
All the expansion pieces were in that. So a 5-minute
that base set is a good set.
That's what I'm saying. My kid and I will play this, right? And
X-Wing versus two TIE fighters.
He can do the X-Wing, and I'll give him like an A-Wing or what. He can do the X-Wing, Y-Wing. I don't care, and I'll do the 2 TIE fighters, and we'll just play back and forth, right? Or we'll
let him win.
Yeah, it's fine. But even if it's just for $2, how can you go wrong, right? Like,
that base set is great.
Yeah. And then, you know, like I said, the 2 exit games in Shrink, Ted Lasso. So 2 exit games in Shrink, Ted Lasso, the base game of X-Wing with the expansion, and then Quirkle. It was like $18. Like, how can you beat that, right? So
nice haul.
Yeah, it was a great haul from a thrift store. So it was kind of fun. So that was my game haul, and then I didn't play it this week, but my wife and her sister played Mall Madness.
The old school, like swipe the credit card Mall Madness.
Yeah, like there's like a newer version that came out a couple of years ago, like just an updated version of it. But yeah, she played it on her stream. You know, yeah, my wife does Twitch streaming, so her and her sister did Korean food and Mall Madness on their Twitch stream this week, which was kind of fun. Because I'm like, I got home from soccer practice and I'm helping my kid get changed, and I hear like, there's a sale at the shoe store, like little credit card swiping. But like,
so there is gaming still going on at the Kruger household.
Yeah. And I've just done a ton of BGA, which I don't like count as gaming for me. But I mean, I
think Robert is turning on that. He talked to me last week. He wants to bring in more of that BGA conversation,
right? A little bit, yeah. I talked about that
into gaming, which I'm totally for. Like this, I am unlike Rob. I do not gatekeep. Gaming is gaming, whatever gaming is to you.
To me, it's just personal. Like I don't like as far as like games played in a month. I don't know if I want to count BGA as games played in a month. I want to count like the physical games that I play. But yeah,
I do prioritize my physical gaming. I get it. But you know what? BGA, it is gaming too.
Yeah, and I'm learning games, playing a ton. That's why I'm playing mostly the Distilled and the Sky Team and stuff. So yeah. So anyway, what else do you got played?
Let's see. Played. I've got Furnace. But this time, and I'm doing what Wayne taught me. Sorry, folks. It's gonna get messy in here. Finally. The Interbellum expansion. Look at that in the box, Wayne.
I love it.
I just cut the cardboard off. There you go. And just threw it in the box. That way I can always remember it. Yeah. So I'll give you a quick update on this Interbellum expansion. Just the feelings of it. What I felt was the first time I played it with Melissa, my wife, we were like, I don't get it. It's not making sense. And it has to be a disconnect with how the rules are written. There's definitely some editing issues with the words used in the rule book. And even on the card, there's still some edits that weren't found, some poor word choices or wrong word choices that weren't found. It really made it difficult to grok it early. So I spent the first game like upset, like struggling with it. Like, I don't know if I like this at all. Game 2 and Game 3 were played with BGG like right next to me. Like I'm on BGG playing the games, really trying to grok it, understand it, right? Adding all these new components that is modules, multiple modules that come into Interbellum expansion, adding them all in. The final gameplay, that's when it really cooked. That's was like, okay, we figured out all the errors in what things do, what order of stuff. Because before that, Wayne, when it talked about changing resources into other resources, or it was called processing, right? When you sold stuff, it was called it was just all processing. It was all processing. But now they have a whole set of pages to give you new game terms, such as selling, such as converting, right? So it adds all these terms because it never had to use them before.
Right. The game wasn't that complex to begin with, but now you're adding in a whole bunch of new terminology.
And there's a little bit of inconsistency in where it uses which choice, so it added frustration. But it only took about 4 games for that frustration to fall away, and then me get back to feeling like, okay, it's Furnace, it's easy, right? I'm not gonna say easy. It's not a complicated game. It's a deep game. Right. There's a lot of decision space in there that allows you to mess up. If you don't count your costs before you figure out how you're going to run that production chain, you're going to be like 1 barrel of oil short of that item you needed to convert that bigger item into the bigger money. And that feels good. What it did add is text abilities on the cards, so there's a little bit more confusion there. So think of like what's the egg game? Wingspan, where it has the band on the card with an ability. Right. So it adds that. Before, everything was icon driven. It was turn these coal cubes into this money. Right now, some of these cards have a blue band that have a text ability that could either be a constant, like always on, or a triggered ability. So you can see the complexity added right there. Right. And then the next thing they do is they add these manager tiles. So what we do is we add 3 new cards or 2 to 3 new cards, and I think maybe even 4 new cards at the end of the auction row, because you're adding more auction items that are called business schools. Each business school has a different manager tile. When you win that card, you take that tile with you. At the start of each production phase, you may assign 1 manager tile to 1 card in your production. So it adds an ability or a new process for that card. So there's a whole new decision space every round. At first, I struggled with it because I'm like, man, that's a lot of decision before you produce. But remember, you're only doing it 4 times. It's only 4 rounds. So it took care of that pretty well. It adds a variable bidding token. So because we did add these schools, Wayne, we have more cards we can bid on. So now you have an extra bidding token. This bidding token is variable. It starts at 0. You may change or set that bidding token to any number you desire. Pick a number, any number. You can go to 100. as long as you have the coal to spend.
To pay for it, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So whatever amount you set that dial to, you must immediately spend that coal as you set the dial on the card. So you're still limited. You can't put a dial on, or you can't put a token on a card you already have a token that you're bidding on.
Right.
And you can't put the same number on a card that already has that number present. But now it gave me a reason to chase coal so that I could have bidding power towards the end of the game to be able to own that card. It's mine. It really added additional decision space in that I want to make sure I lose that card, and I'm going to set that dial to the number of compensations that I want to get from that card.
Right.
So it really adds that variability.
That's cool.
Let's see. And then a new, what do they call them? They call them capitalist. So you have new asymmetric abilities up front. So you got a whole new set of those. If you play with just the new ones, I'm told that this is more of a balance. I haven't played them all. I'm told it's a more of a balanced set. I stopped playing with the capitalists in the original set because I found them to be way out of whack. They were like crazy. It just wasn't balanced. But these new ones, I'm being told they're more balanced. So I'm excited about that. And then finally, the best part about it, the whole reason I picked up the expansion was the agents. The agents are an automa setup. I think there's 5 different automa that you can use. And in my games play, before, when you played with 2 players, you would just roll a die to try to figure out which card was taken by the bot, right? Okay, so it just prevented you from getting that card or bidding on that card. In this game, it creates a system for that agent to work with, that bot to work off of. They're searching. It could be the coal baron. He wants to buy every card that has coal icons on it. When he produces, he will get $2 or $1 for every icon of coal he has on all the companies he owns. Right? There's the oil baron, similar to that. There's the monopolist. The monopolist wants to buy all the companies that they can buy, small or large. They want to own them all. So it just gives all these different flavors of bots to play against. So now my wife and I aren't just merely playing against each other. We're playing against the computer, and the computer's winning about 50% of the time. So it's like, okay, we're fighting each other, but one of us still has to get better than the computer. She's beat the computer once. I beat the computer once. The computer has beat us. So it's pretty interesting. That's Furnace, Interbellum, Arcane Wonders.
Nice.
Last week before the show started, Rob taught me Res Arcana. We did not get to finish the game before the show started, so I had the ability to finish it at the end. I know I'm going to want to play this more with Rob, and I want to do it with Wayne as well, because I want to get full beans on this one. We're going to give this one the full beans.
I love that. I have a ton. It's one of those games that I really enjoy, but for some reason I'm bad at it.
I can see it has that.
I'm always a turn behind.
I feel like it has that trap that Century Spice Road / Golem has, where I can get caught up just converting stuff.
Right. Same thing with even like Space Base or like a lot of those engine building games, like where you're kind of playing cards to build cards to produce goods, whatever. And it's like I'm always like a turn behind the good players. Like there's good players of these games, and they're cranking out points quicker. And I'm like, how are you getting that many resources that quickly? Or how are you getting these points that quick? Like I'm like, not quite. It's not my forte of games. I'm not the best at this kind of game. But
you really have to have that strategic mindset, that long game mindset, and with every action you take, you got to ask yourself, but why though?
Yeah. And the
like
thing is,
I can, but why though?
100%. But I have that strategic mindset, or at least I think I do, with a lot of other types of games. But
Res Arcana says otherwise.
Well, like that engine building, right? Or It's a Wonderful World is another one where it's
like, I fell for that trap where I'm just converting cubes because I can.
I feel like I'm like a half a turn behind the really good players at it. Like I'm like, we're in the third 3, and it's a short game, so it's 3 or 4 turns. It's a Wonderful World. It's like by turn 3, I'm just starting to get things going, and everyone else, like other people, are just cranking it out. So yeah, I love Res Arcana. There's I don't know if you and Rob played with the draft mechanism. I think
We did not, because it was my first game ever.
and it's only 2 players, so it's kind of
This was Rob's first time playing without a draft. So he told me, because I had it
The
already
draft
set up
is
before he
unlocked.
got here.
Yeah.
Not only did we do it without the draft, we did it with their recommended hand.
Yep.
So what's great about this game is if you're new to it,
Yep.
the mages have a number 1 through 4. There's 4 different mages.
Right.
And then it gives you the 3 cards that go best with that mage.
Right.
So Rob was a little shocked when on my first round, our first set of plays, was able to really get an engine going, almost like a prelude. He's like, wow, I've never seen somebody hit that so quick, but it's because of
You
the
had the perfect
prescribed
setup.
cards.
Yeah.
Like you take this mage with these 3 cards in your hand, and I figured out the order to play him in order to be able to get like my first monument, like right up front.
Right up front. And I think that's where I think Mike Lorenzo talked about playing this game with like a master where they knew every combo, right? And so if you play with somebody who really knows this game with a draft, they're going to murder you, because as they're drafting the cards, they're drafting that perfect set, right, of go. I like the draft because it allows me to like pick a strategy of how I'm going to build my engine. When you don't have the draft, you just get the cards and you're like, well, it could be a crapshoot, right? So I can see both ways, right? I think newbies playing it or novices playing it, probably okay not to do the draft. Once you start to get to know the decks, playing with drafts is really fun because then you can build the strategy to get. But then you might get to like that expert level of like I'm the best player at Res Arcana, and if we're playing with a draft, I'm going to smoke you because I'm going to draft the cards that like you're never going to see how fast I build this engine type thing. It's a great game though. I really enjoy it.
I think
Great
the piece that's
production
not
value,
coming
too.
across in our conversation, Wayne, because we're talking cards, we're talking draft, we're talking deck, right? We're talking shuffling. 8 cards. That's it.
Yeah.
You will start with 8 cards in your deck, and that is the most you will ever have. That is the only 8 cards you will have throughout this game. That is it. These are your 8.
When you buy monuments and other things, and then there's an expansion.
Well, the
that gives
monuments
spells and
may
stuff.
add abilities, right? It may add ways to gain points, but your deck of cards is 8.
8, yeah.
That is it. Like, that was a stunner for me. Like, wait a minute, this is it? I don't get to buy new cards to bring into my deck.
Yep.
And what happens is in the draft, Rob I sat and talked about this for a while after the game was done, after the show was over. We sat and chatted about it. That's how much fun we had.
Right.
We talked about how for the first time ever, he played every one of his cards, right? He has never played out to the tableau. Everyone, he decked out. Like, he had no cards in his deck, no cards in his hand. He had nothing to draw. Everything was on the table, right? Because he played them all. You can do that.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
But it's generally not what you desire, because you can always discard one of your cards for 2 resources of any color or 1 gold, right? 1 gold resource. So when you're drafting, even if you get stuck with a crappy card or you have a
just
less
toss it
than
for a
stellar
gold.
card,
Yeah.
it's always that card that gets discarded for resources each cycle. Each time that card comes back, you're just, all right, that's a crappy card. I'm discarding that for resources to then use to run the engine. He ran out of that. He had no card to do that. So it was really interesting for him, too, in playing with that standardized setup.
Yeah. And I think that's where I screw up. I don't discard enough, right? Because you discard
answered
it's
your
gonna
own question.
Come back around. Yeah.
And it comes back around, you discard it again, because that's where you get your resources to run your engine.
Probably where I'm screwing up is like my desire. Like, I don't want to discard that. I don't want to play it.
All right, well, then we got to play this one
We do.
on the table so that
Yep.
we can give it the full beans. I'm going to teach it to Melissa because she loves engine builders. She's big on gizmos. You know, she's big on these engine builders, and I think this one is a theme agnostic. Like, it could be completely theme agnostic.
You could retheme it Harry Potter. You could retheme it to Lord, any generic fantasy. Lord of
It
the
is.
Rings or
It
whatever,
is
yeah.
a conversion, generate resources, use those resources to claim points game, and I think she's gonna like it. So hopefully I can get some plays with her. We'll
Nice.
get a play with you, and then we'll do the full beans,
Give us the beans.
and we'll have Lorenzo there too because he can really chime in on this one.
He does like that one. Yeah.
Those were my plays since we last talked about game plays.
Yep. I probably will not. I'll probably have a few for next week, but then the week after will be the week after Necro, so I'll have a bunch.
Which after Necro will be the update. So we'll be updating our boards again right after Necro. So as you can see in just this conversation alone, you heard my excitement. So there's probably going to be some movement on this board just based on what I talked about this week alone in the plays that you saw this week alone.
Yeah. And basically when I go to Necro, I'm bringing the games that I have not played this year that have to be played. So I like Rococo and Lords of Waterdeep and Concordia, and those will probably all get played at Necro weekend. So
I thank you for reminding me about that. My wifey and I had talked about it, trying to find a way to make that happen. I'm going to jump on and see if that Saturday can be a day to get out.
Yes, come out Saturday afternoon to the evening. We'll be there. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, that's what I got for this week.
Yeah.
Any last closing thoughts for the folks at home?
Not much. Appreciate the callers.
All of you. Nick, tinfoil hat wearing people. All of you.
And the normal regular folks that we love to death. So appreciate you guys calling in. I saw we had a lot of viewers tonight. If you're viewing, please make sure you give us a thumbs up.
We had two watching the whole time on the Rumble, so you can add 2 to what we had. Yep. So I think that puts us almost 15.
Yeah. So, but talk to us. Like, make some comments. Give us a thumbs up. Just let us know what we're doing. Yes or no. More conspiracy theories, less conspiracy theories. Just,
Rob can come in and put a kibosh to all that.
No, come on, Rob. Rob's got a couple of conspiracy theories.
All right, don't forget, folks, Cardboard for Kids, Tampa Gaming Guild. Find their website, Google Tampa Gaming Guild, Cardboard for Kids. That's with a K, Cardboard for Kids. Donate new games to kids with cancer. Help them enjoy the time that they have while they're getting their treatments. Also, next week, September 27th, Mission Hills Church Men's Group Board Game Night. That's Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. My hope is to bring and teach Nexus Ops to maybe start some fights.
Nice.
And that's all I got for In the News. So.
Nice.
All right, folks, good night. I'm Carlos.
I'm Wayne.
And we're the Beans and Dice Podcast.
Podcast about how we game.
How we game.
How we game. You game.
Thanks
you
for
game.
watching the Beans
Shut
and
the
Dice
cat up.
Podcast. Don't forget to like
I got
and
2
subscribe.
running around here tonight.
I saw one on the back tonight.
Yeah, they're kittens. We got 2 kittens.